I'll start.
Not broadcast. All right.
Sure.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to virtual keynote. This is Leila Naderi, Director of Partnership Development at Alliant International University. Thank you for joining us and be with us today. Hope all of you are safe, healthy, and above all, optimistic today. At Alliant International University, it's our mission to connect, educate, and empower the community for positive changes in the world. And during this global crisis, we want to stay true to our mission, and we want to be part of solution, and of course, we want to be in service to you. So we are partnering with amazing organizations, thoughtful leaders, and experts for these webinar series and keynotes. Before I announce the agenda, I would like to inform you that we are recording this webinar, and the video recording will be shared with you via email after webinar. So please feel free to share the recording with your network. You can also submit your question through chat box. After the keynote, we will respond questions and we will have Q&A. So I'm really happy to announce that we have invited three amazing leaders, colleagues, and friends for today. As you can see in the beginning, Jonna Sangster, Assistant Vice President of Partnership Development at Alliant International University, will have her welcome and Alliant overview. And then Dr. Saba Ozyurt, Program Director at California School of Management and Leadership, will provide CSML updates and innovations for you. And of course, our amazing keynote speaker, Mr. James Flores, President and CEO of San Diego Food Bank. We are truly honored and excited that Jim and his team accepted our invitation, and although we know they are really busy supporting our community at this time through the San Diego Food Bank and their chapter in North County chapter. So really honored to have him to join us as the keynote speaker. So get ready to get inspired today. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Jonna Sangster. Jonna,
Thank you, Leila, and good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to today's keynote for the 6th annual California School of Management and Leadership Conference on Management and Leadership Practices. My name is Jonna Sangster, and I'm the Assistant Vice President of Partnership Development. I'd like to start by sharing a little bit of information about Alliant and some background. Next slide, please, Leila. Alliant has been in our communities for over 100 years. That's 100 years of impact through our 3 legacy institutions. We came together as Alliant back in 2001, and it was the merging of our 3 legacy institutions, the San Francisco Law School, our eldest school, which was founded in 1909, United States International University, which many of you on this call might actually be familiar with, which was founded in 1927, and the California School of Professional Psychology. And as you see, founded in 1969, we just celebrated our 50th anniversary. Alliant is a private, regionally accredited institution that prepares students for careers in business, psychology, education, forensics, and law. We are committed to training individuals for careers in service and leadership. Our university's home campus is based in San Diego, California, and we also have campuses in Los Angeles, in the San Francisco Bay Area, with our new campus that recently opened just a couple of months ago in Emeryville. We have campus in Irvine, Fresno, and Sacramento. Additionally, we have an online campus supporting many of our programs through our 5 schools. Additionally, we have our St. Luke Medical School, which is located in Mexico City. Next slide, please. Alliant consists of a family of 5 schools. We have our host school for our keynote today, which is the California School of Management and Leadership. We have our California School of Professional Psychology, also known to many as CSPP, our California School of Education, our California School of Forensic Science, and our San Francisco Law School. Next slide, please. A little bit about our accreditations. Alliant is a regionally accredited university. We are accredited by WASC, the Western Association of Schools and Colleges, within the Senior College and University Commission. Additionally, for many of our programs, we have sought out program level accreditations, and I've shared some of those with you on this screen, including, as you can see, accreditations for our School of Management and Leadership that is done by the Accreditation Council of Business Schools and Programs. Next slide, please. As you heard, I am part of the partnership development team, as is my colleague, Layla, and just wanted to share a little bit of information about what we do in partnership development. And our partnership development team really is the community outreach for our university. We work with businesses, professional associations, our feeder community colleges and universities, and with the public sector to build meaningful partnerships that really are mutually beneficial. We partner with organizations to have and support professional development with these organizations. We often do sponsorships for them in their events. And for many of them, we are offering them a preferred pricing for educational programs. With that diagram that I've included in this slide, you can see partnership development and the many ways that we do this community outreach. So we do networking events, something similar to what we're doing now. Or Layla, I know how active you are with our regional chambers. We participate in trade shows and conferences where we'll host booths so attendees can learn more about Alliant and our programs. We work very closely with our school districts in the state of California. At this point, we have partnered with over 600 that accept placement of our student teachers and interns as we work together with them to address the teacher shortage. We are very active with professional associations to support their membership on their educational journey. And as I mentioned, we work really closely with our community colleges and feeder schools. And that is to allow students that are coming from a community college to continue on their path to an undergraduate degree, and for those that are coming from other universities as they continue on their journey to graduate school. So with that, that is an overview of our partnership development team, and I know that Layla is going to be sharing a little bit more about how we might be able to connect with you and your organization after this event. But again, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And I will now turn it over back to our host, Layla.
Well, I think at this point, we will turn it back to Dr. Oziel, actually. So she will share CSML updates and innovation. Thank you, Jonah.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Dr. Nadare. Hello, everybody, and welcome to California School of Management's Leadership's virtual conference and second keynote talk. I'm very happy to have you here today with us. I hope you and your loved ones are well during these unprecedented times. So as Layla suggested, I would like to take a few minutes to talk about and share with you some of the new programs and projects that we are taking up in California School of Management and Leadership. In our school, we train students for management and leadership positions in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors. Our mission is to develop the managers, leaders, and entrepreneurs of tomorrow who will make a positive impact on their organizations and the communities which they work. Our programs are designed to develop the vision, integrity, and innovation so our students can solve our community's problems and lead the way in times like this when there is a crisis. Indeed, research and data shows that people who continue educating themselves and growing in times of crises are more resilient and respond to adversity at their work and in their personal lives in much more successful ways. So with that, I would like to talk a little bit about the programs that we're offering to help you get that to that next level and help you in this times of crisis and develop yourself. We have 4 undergraduate programs: Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, in Project Management, in hospitality management and information systems and technology, which is our newly launched program. If students are interested in technology-oriented areas, that will be the perfect program for them. Then we have 4 master's level programs, Master of Business Administration. We have a new track within our MBA program, which is MBA with practical training. And this program or track in particular gives students the opportunity to work throughout their whole program, where they can apply their skill sets and knowledge to organizations and corporations, and they can gain valuable knowledge and information and skill sets during their program. Students within that program will also study in an executive format, meaning that they will be in class 1 weekend a month, again, giving them a little bit more flexibility and opportunity to delve into their work during their studies. We also have our technology-oriented programs, Master of Science in Data Analytics, Healthcare Analytics, and Information Systems and Technology. And students who are interested in applying their management and business skills in technology sectors would be advised to choose these programs. And finally, we have 2 doctoral programs for colleagues and those who would like to actually start teaching in higher education, or who would like to actually extend on their knowledge and continue working in higher level administrative roles in their jobs. So Doctor of Business Administration, DBA program, and this program is offered both online and on ground. And our MSCA, MSHA, and MSIST programs are also offered in online and on ground. And Doctor of Philosophy and Leadership Studies, PhD in Leadership Studies, are 2 opportunities that you can take advantage of at Alliant University. So our local and global community has obviously been impacted in drastic ways during this current pandemic crisis. As we see every day in the news, small and mid-sized businesses are being affected the most. Families are challenged with resources and income as they lose their jobs. Local and federal government obviously is trying to stimulate the economy and provide support and services to families. But in those times, obviously, nonprofit organizations such as San Diego Food Bank play a critical role in alleviating burden and suffering on our communities. So with that, I would like to introduce CEO and President of San Diego Food Bank, Mr. James Flores, and turn it over to him. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I was very honored when Dr. Nadiri invited me to be the keynote speaker today. And trying to decide what our presentation was going to be about. We talked about leadership in crisis. At one point, I actually probably thought about the title of my talk being "You Can't Make This Stuff Up," because the last 9 weeks have been certainly crazy, but really landed on the idea of building a ship to weather the storm. As I kind of started thinking about what to talk about today, it really dawned on me about a few weeks into the crisis how well our organization was doing. And I really realized that the excellence that we had built, the excellence that we had strived for, we were really, really built for this moment. And maybe at the time we didn't know that. We just did it because that's the right thing to do. We're an organization based on excellence, and we want to be, the best at food bank in the United States. We want to be the premier nonprofit organization in the San Diego community. So that's what we were striving for. But now we realize all those efforts are paying off great dividends for us, and just truly proud and impressed about how well our organization has responded to the crisis. So my presentation today, I'm going to cover about 4 main things. First, I'm going to give a quick overview of the COVID crisis. And this is real time, so we're 9-10 weeks into this. So check back with me in a year, and we'll have learned even more things. So we're on the front lines right now. We're exempt from the executive order. We're at work, and we're doing our job, and we're achieving our mission. I'm going to do a little bit of my background on my management style and kind of what my journey has been, and that also, I'll talk to really how we built that ship to weather the storm. And then I'll leave our viewers with a few suggestions, or as my staff sometimes refers to as Jimisms. They roll their eyes generally during those, and so hopefully you will join them in doing that. So COVID-19, no one saw this coming. It caught a lot of people by surprise, and we really responded well. I'm so impressed by our organization, how we were quickly to pivot and rise to the occasion. And really, our organization is built on being businesslike, entrepreneurial, because we're a local organization, and it's in our DNA to react, adapt, to see a challenge or a problem. Not a lot of bureaucracy in our organization, maybe the best part of my job. There's not a lot of bureaucracy. You're basically looking at the bureaucracy of the food bank. But because we're a local organization, we need to be cutting edge. We don't have a safety net. We don't have a national organization that could be there to lift us up. We have to be self-reliant. And that level of, call it an edge, call it being on the forefront, call it being able to pivot and being very businesslike, has served us very well in our history. Coming out of the gate, one of the first things we realized is that the San Diego Food Bank was the buffer between the organization working through the crisis and chaos. If there's a perception by the community that there wasn't going to be enough food, I mean, people don't riot over not being able to pay the rent. People riot over there not being enough food. So our messaging from the very get-go, heavy in the media, that, hey, this is what we signed up for, this is what we do for a living, we got this. There's plenty of food and everybody's gonna be okay. We're gonna weather the storm. We heard stories in the first few weeks of people were hoarding toilet paper and physical altercations at Costco over toilet paper, and people were hoarding water. The water coming out of your faucet's just fine, but yet people were hoarding water. So people were kind of freaking out. And so when people were freaking out, that was the time we had to be the most calm. We had a calm reserve, and we really wanted the community to say, everything's gonna be okay. There's enough food. We'll feed your family. So we kind of went through, first, the other thing we wanted to really have the community to know that our distribution model in the San Diego Food Bank, we are supply chain at its very best. So our distribution model is very solid. Before the crisis, 200 distribution sites, a network of 500 nonprofit partners with feeding programs. So that distribution model is solid. Now we knew that probably we need to augment, but really it came down to nothing more scientific, but just literally having more food in the food chain. We talked to our nonprofit partners. They were telling us that their lines were growing 50% longer, maybe double in size. So we wanted to make sure that our grassroots nonprofit partners had enough product, had enough food to meet the challenge of those growing lines. So one of the first things we did out of the gate, so we used March 12th as kind of our line of demarcation. So our first thing is we wanted to get a lot of food out to our nonprofit partners. And so what we did is we removed all barriers from those agencies getting food. And we basically in a 2-week period, we pushed out about 700,000 pounds of food to our nonprofit partners, because we want to get a lot of food out in the community, and maybe that would kind of calm some people's fears. Then we went into kind of a second phase, which were mass distributions. Not really our normal model of feeding people, but we thought, one, that maybe if we did some mass distributions, we could shorten the lines, but also those mass distributions are they get the attention of the media, and so every time we did a mass distribution, we did 4 mass distributions in total. That the media is there, so that gave us a forum, they gave us a platform to be able to educate the community. And if you couldn't make it to one of the mass distributions, you could go to a community-based distribution in your neighborhood, total client dignity, and be able to get the food that you and your family need. One of the things we did learn during the mass distribution is that we learned that you can really only do 1,000 cars, which is maybe about 4,000 people, because 3,000 or 4,000 cars are going to show up. And even though we publicized that we were only able to do 1,000 cars, we had people that showed up and waited in line for hours and didn't get food. And that's not how we do business. Everything we do is about client dignity, and it really broke our heart to know that we had to turn people away. So we did our 4 mass distributions, and now we're kind of really pushing into a phase 3, which is really that grassroots approach. Getting a lot of food out to our nonprofit partners. We're partnering with school districts. We have a mobile pantry, so we've greatly expanded our mobile pantry program. We can go to an area, do a pop-up distribution, And we're working with, we have 12 sites with San Diego Unified School District. We have 12 or 13 sites with San Diego Office of Education, 4 with Vista. We just picked up San Ysidro. And we're also moving to a model of kind of a super pantry where we'll select a number of our bigger agencies and ask them to do more frequent distributions. And then we're just going to see how much food that we can push out through those organizations. By way of comparison about our ability to ramp up and get enough food out into the community, in a typical year, San Diego Food Bank spends about $1 million on food purchases. About 2 days ago, I approved our third $1 million food order. By the end of May, we will have committed to $5 million in food orders. So we've done that in 9 weeks or so, and there's no end in sight. It's been really gratifying to see how the community has rallied around us. And so we are spending a lot of money, we're raising a lot of money, but we're working really, really hard to meet the community need. For those of you who know somebody who might be food insecure, have them, tell them to log on to SanDiegoFoodBank.org/get-help. That's SanDiegoFoodBank.org/get-help. We have those 200 distributions that are ours. Some are monthly, some are weekly. But what we do is we update our website every week. We list out the distributions that are going to take place that coming week. It's over 100 each week. And so people should be able to find a distribution in their area and be able to get the food that their family needs. We talked about organizational excellence, and that that is just, it's the right thing to do. But we really realized that as we were going through and we were rising to the occasion and we were improving our outreach and feeding a lot more people, getting a lot more food out, we're doing about 67% more food than we normally do. We really realized that we are the right organization at the right time in the right place. And we are going to navigate and we're going to overcome the crisis. And it's something that, again, we are very, very proud of. And again, it's kind of in our DNA. There was no panic. The organization and the staff said, okay, this is what we do. This is what we signed up for. You know what, let's go feed some people. So that is something that we are extremely proud of. I wasn't going to have really my comments today be that much about me, but again, Dr. Nadiri thought that my story might be relevant. So I'll spend a little time talking about how it is that I'm standing here before you. I'm a 36-year nonprofit professional. I've been a CEO for 27 years. It wasn't exactly what my career path was, but I did an internship at an international nonprofit right out of college. I fell in love with the whole idea of working for a nonprofit and making the world a better place, and that began my journey. So 8 years at the world headquarters of Project Concern International, and then I went to the San Diego Burn Institute, working heavily with the fire service, regional burn center, wildfire programs, aftercare programs for burn survivors, and that. Went there as a development director. And about 18 months after I joined the organization, the board removed the then CEO, and they put me in as the interim CEO literally on my 33rd birthday. And that certainly sped up my career path. There were times where I thought, am I ready for this? I didn't have that great mentor. I didn't have that person that was grooming me to be a CEO, but also you think, well, I may never have this opportunity again. I love this great quote. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have it thrust upon them. So perhaps I had greatness thrust upon me, but again, off I went. I did not have a lot of formal management training, but I also think that 90% of life is common sense, showing up, strong work ethic, and being fairly organized. And I think you'll figure the other 10% out. So truly, I just learned by doing it. I made my share of mistakes, but overall, just if you work hard enough and you have some common sense, I think you can pretty much overcome anything. One thing I'll say is that I'm not necessarily the smartest or the best, but no one's going to out-hustle me. And hard work really does pay off. And one of the things that also, one of my other favorite quotes is Albert Einstein that said, the greatest education is experience. And so 36 years of this, I've had a lot of experience. I've seen a lot. I've experienced a lot. Certainly I've made my mistakes, but I've become pretty good at this. So Dr. Nadir also asked me, well, what's my management style? And I'm not even sure that I had a management style, but I guess I do. And one of the things you first learn when you're a manager is everybody's looking at you. Everybody's feeding off of you, and you can lift them up or you can hurt them. One of the other things I realized that when I was at the Burn Institute and I was at interim CEO and I wanted the job and I wanted all the staff there to want me to have the job. So I became a consensus builder. I didn't want them to think, okay, now I'm in charge and here we go. So I made sure I was a consensus builder, made sure I got their input. And then I also learned that I have to make my own decision, because at the end of the day, people want to be led. Even if they don't agree with the direction, they want to be led. The worst thing is a leader that's indecisive and people are saying, just make up your mind, man, and let's go. So those are things I kind of learned on the fly. I lead by example. I know that. I believe in engaging a lot with my staff. I have a lot of drop-in meetings. I mean, you'll have your formal monthly meetings and with your one-on-ones with your senior staff or your other staff, but I believe in a lot of drop-in meetings, quick, impromptu. I kind of check in, what's going on? You got a challenge, you got what's going on? I need you to do this or what have you, and then I check back out, because I am not a micromanager by any means, but I also want to know kind of what's going on. It allows me to keep my thumb on the pulse of the organization. In our warehouse, we have a 90,000 square foot facility here. My office is on the far east side. I park on the far west side. I've done that from day one since I've been here at the food bank. So I walk the warehouse. I wanted to get to know all the warehouse staff. I'm down on the ground. I can find out what's going on. Maybe I talk about with a staff member, I know their names. I know which ones are baseball fans. I know if they're having a challenge, they can come to me and say, hey, we're running out of produce. We're running low on produce. So I don't want to wait for a formal meeting. I want to know about things that are happening, especially during the COVID crisis, that are real time. And then again, I kind of mentioned this. I kind of had an interesting experience when I was a younger manager. I made some passing comment to a staff member. It was probably just me trying to, with my Midwestern sense of humor, trying to be funny. And the person obsessed about it all weekend and thought I was upset or they were going to lose their job. And I didn't even remember making the comment. So I really realized that if you're in a position of leadership, you have to be careful what you say, but you have the power to lift people up. A kind word from the CEO will go a long way. As I'm walking through the warehouse, talking to different warehouse workers, and if I hear from one of my managers that somebody's doing a really good job, I will make sure I walk up to them and say, hey, I hear you're doing a great job. Keep up the great work. And that warehouse worker goes home and tells their husband or wife, hey, the CEO came by and said I was doing a good job. And you don't think that's important? It's very important, because you need people to reaffirm them and let them know that the CEO knows who they are and that they care about them. And that's one thing I think I'm very proud of, and I think my staff knows this. I care about my people. I take care of my people. Nobody messes with my people except for me. But you got to be there. And loyalty is key. Loyalty is not given; it's earned. Respect is key, but again, it's not expected; it's earned. So I work so hard to earn the loyalty of my staff, earn the loyalty and the respect, because it's definitely a two-way street. So how did we get here? How did we build the ship to weather the storm? Well, it really starts with leadership. I am very fortunate that myself and I have 3 VPs that I inherited, and they are some of the most talented people I have ever worked with in my entire career. Really, in their areas of expertise, they have no peer. And together, I've been here about 7 years. We have grown together, and we are all so much better than we were just 7 years ago. But it is kind of, I don't want to say it's creepy, but it's 4 people who are like-minded. It's a mind meld. There's a piece of me in each one of them. And literally, we will have conversations without speaking a word. There'll be eye contact and a glance, and we both know exactly what the other one is thinking. And when I, meet with them and do their annual reviews, I tell them, and they're all, fairly young professionals, you may never have this ever again in your career, to have 4 people that are so connected, so on the same page, and it's never good enough, doing better, doing more, and it's nothing I've ever seen in my career. So I'm so fortunate to have them. During the crisis, this thing changes every 24 hours. I mean, we were moving and grooving, and I was having a lot of one-on-one meetings with all my staff about different things, about purchasing food or volunteers or safety precautions or media or what have you. But we really were having a hard time getting the four of us together in the same room. So I elected to start bringing lunch in every day or almost every day for the senior staff because I knew they had to eat. And it was the one time that the four of us could just sit down and just talk about things that we were experiencing. They all had a little bit of a different point of view, but it was outstanding because it brought us together and it really kept us all on the same page going forward. I just thought it was a good idea. I didn't realize how really a smart idea that was. Overall, organizationally, we have about 70 staff members. So of my senior staff, myself and the 3 VPs, we have 47 years of food banking experience just among the four of us. Now you look at the staff for the entire organization, 70 employees, we have about 800 years of food banking experience. That is just unheard of. And so that is one of the reasons why we are seen as the regional leader. We are seen as a statewide leader. We are seen as a national leader because people who become food bankers and work in food bank, they stay because pretty much it may be the most important cause. You know, food and shelter are where everything starts right there. And so we have so much organizational knowledge and experience. You know, that is one of the reasons why we're done so well weathering the storm. Board of directors, you know, for those of you who have been on boards or have worked with nonprofits, you cannot have a great organization without a great board. It's one of the first things I did when I came to the food bank, and I started working hard to build a great board of directors. They're outstanding, they're diverse, and one of the things that was really cool about these my board members, they kind of left us alone. We made sure we were keeping them apprised of what was going on. You know, any major decisions, certainly we kept them in real time, but also, you know, they didn't suddenly start becoming experts in feeding people. They didn't give us suggestions on how to do some kind of new kind of distribution or whatever. Our board just kind of sat back and said, let us know what you need, but you guys you know what you're doing. Obviously, we're experts in the field. And so the board has been tremendous. And, you know, leading up to this, you know, this organization's always been very sophisticated. So we have a strategic plan, and then we did contingency planning, and we started playing with scenario planning and some stuff out of the Harvard School of Business, and we didn't quite get through it. But now I realize, looking back, that's one of the things we could have done. This COVID crisis would have been the perfect topic for that scenario planning. So we certainly learned a lot, but we are prepared, and we've kind of thought about every possible contingency, and it's really served us well going through the crisis. We also have a North County Advisory Board. We took over the North County Food Bank a few years ago. It was strategic. We wanted to get more food out in the North County region. Those of you know San Diego County, they consider North County a completely separate community. So that's gone very well. We have a leadership council. So we have such a tremendous volunteer base, and that's one of the reasons that makes us such a strong organization. We actually have 20,000 registered volunteers and nearly 30,000 volunteer visits a year. Volunteers are an integral part of our supply chain, 6 days a week, 4 nights a week. And those volunteers, especially individuals, have kept coming in during the crisis. And they are dedicated to what we do, and they're really helping us get food out into the community. So volunteerism truly is the lifeblood of this organization. We had staff that, you know, were essential offsite. All staff are essential, right? But we had staff that were essential offsite, but we had essential staff that are essential on-site. I could have easily worked from home because pretty much everything I was doing was either phone calls or Zoom calls and maybe some staff meetings, but my staff needed to see me here. If they had to be here, or their warehouse person, or volunteer coordinator, I mean, what have you, they needed to see me here. So I was here every day, walked the warehouse 2 or 3 times, just say, how you doing? You know, we got this. What do you need? What are you seeing, or what have you? Try my best to try to greet every volunteer group. We have 3 shifts a day, try to go down there and just thank them for being here. A lot of people were stir crazy, so I think a lot of people actually were, you know, wanting to get out of the house. I had a couple people saying that, you know, their 17-year-old daughter was driving them crazy and they're going to come into the warehouse and volunteer. So we've got a lot of people. We actually are pretty much turning volunteers away. It's been tough. It's been tough on the staff. I can see it in their eyes. I mean, what are we in week 9 of this? 14, 16-hour days have been the norm for me. I've had 3 days off in 9 weeks, but then all my staff, senior staff especially, they're putting in the same hours because we kind of realize this is our moment, and we can't screw this up. It's too important. Too many people are hurting, so we need to be at our best. And this really this moment in time is really going to be a part of our legacy. And we take that very, very seriously. So one of the great things we have done here, really focused on, is organizational culture. I think it was Peter Drucker that said, culture eats skill for lunch. And so culture is, with any organization, culture is hugely important. And you want to make sure you have people that you want to spend time with and really get it. And you want everybody kind of pulling in the right direction. So I'm almost obsessed with culture. So I have to tell you quite honestly, we have like 5 or 6 of our categories of what our culture is, but I had to actually yesterday had to ask my HR director what they were, to remind me what they were. Leadership, integrity, excellence, respect, cooperation, and service. But I did need to be reminded, because it's kind of like, well, really? I mean, of course, to me that's common sense. And if you have to remind an employee that these are our cultural values, then maybe they shouldn't be working at the food bank. This should be ingrained in them. That's why they're here. And something that's really interesting, and something I've really kind of learned or noted through the years, is that people who work for a nonprofit organization are special. It is not just a job. And if you have somebody who just works at a nonprofit because they think it's a nice thing to do, but they don't really bridge the job to the actual cause, they really shouldn't work here. People who we hire, people who work here, are here because they want to work for the food bank. They want to make the world a better place. They're committed to a cause. I have people that came from corporate America who are now driving a forklift because they want to feel fulfilled. They want to make sure that their life has meant something. And we look for those people. We want people, and we're surrounded by people who are committed to the cause, and they're not just looking for a paycheck. And that's something I kind of figured out many, many years ago. And so, key positions, especially, when my staff will bring the last couple of candidates to me, and I just have a very informal chat with them in my office. There's no formal questions. There's no, I'm not writing notes down. I'm just going to have a conversation. And I'm really looking for that person that really has this in their gut, and they want to make a difference. They want to make the world a better place. And we have done that, and we have surrounded ourselves with those type of people. So when suddenly there's COVID, and people are kind of freaking out, my staff's like, all right, come on, let's do it. This is what we signed up for. Let's go, right? And everybody came together, and it was just, it's kind of emotional almost to see how people really rallied to the challenge. So when you work for a nonprofit, you cannot be there for a paycheck. Plus, they're not very big. So, you're going to have low pay and a lot of hours, but you're going to have a lot of psychic income. And we work hard here. My organizations have always been that way. It was that way at the Burn Institute. It's the way here. It's kind of an inside tongue-in-cheek joke that working at the food bank is not for the faint of heart. We work really hard. People all buy into that. They enjoy it. We take very good care of them. We make sure they don't burn out. So we really take care of our employees, but we also expect a lot. So why are we being so successful? Why are we able to meet the demand? Well, it really comes down to program excellence. This is a level of our peers. We are seen as one of the top 2 food banks in California. Many people consider us the top independent food bank in the nation. And so we've built a reputation. We've built we do tours telling people our story. We're doing some innovative things that no food bank in the United States is doing. We have stakeholders, and we have state officials, we have elected officials we've developed these relationships to really know, hey, the San Diego Food Bank. And I've heard from so many people during COVID, community leaders saying, okay, we need to get behind the San Diego Food Bank. They have the distribution model. They have the high level of excellence. Let's all get behind the San Diego Food Bank and let them help us lead that through that. That is the most gratifying thing I could have ever heard, and I've heard it so many times. Our staff are always leaders in the industry. There's different coalitions and committees and boards or what have you. Our staff members are usually, at one time or another, serve as a chair of all these organizations. My own story, I knew nothing about food banking. There's a statewide association, the California Association of Food Banks. They left me alone the first 2 years. 3rd year, I joined the board. 4th year here, I became the board secretary. 5th year, I became the board chair. I didn't think it was going to happen that fast, but the one thing I did have to my benefit, I may not be can call myself a food banker yet, but I'm a nonprofit professional, and those basics and those levels of excellence, they can relate to pretty much any any nonprofit organization. As I mentioned, we are a local organization, and it gives us that edge. We can't miss an opportunity. We can't stumble. We have to fight for perfection every day, and that has given us such a high level of ability and success in serving the community. And when I came here, we were feeding about 300,000 people. It's about 350,000. Actually, now with COVID, it's close to 600,000, which seemed almost overnight. But like I said, we kind of rose to the occasion, and we've met the challenge head on. We're very entrepreneurial, and being a local organization, we really have our pulse on the community. So if we see a problem or a challenge or an opportunity, we pivot and we create a program, adapt and overcome, and off we go. We had a state legislator that came to us a few years ago and asked us to become the regional diaper bank. And I had never even heard of a diaper bank, but when she told me the story of why it was important, I looked over at my VP of program. So what do you think? She went, all right. So literally 7 seconds of bureaucracy, major organizational decision, and now we're the regional diaper bank, and we're distributing about 500,000 diapers a month. So that's the best part of my job, is it gives me that freedom to be entrepreneurial, to pivot, create strategies. And as I said, that's kind of really in our DNA. The North County Food Bank is a little bit of a larger organizational decision. Talked to my board about it. We beat it all up. We really realized this is the right thing for us to do. And now, what we've done up in North County, we've doubled the service population, tripled the amount of food, and quadrupled the number of backpack programs. It was a very underserved area. Most people think North County is affluent. There's no poverty. I got some pushback. A lot of poverty in North County. And so we are taking North County by storm and working really hard with some really innovative ideas up there. Innovation, environmental. That is not our mandate to be environmentally sensitive. Obviously, it's the right thing to do. But we actually realized a while ago that if we were more environmentally cautious or sensitive, we could actually cut costs, which means we feed more people. So we embarked on a journey to be environmentally sound. So today, we have 1,400 solar panels on the roof. That saves us about $120,000 a year, which equates to about 600,000 meals. We have phase change material in the freezer, and then we embarked on a compost recycle program. Prior to this program, we were putting about 600,000 pounds of refuse in the landfill, and now I'm proud to tell you we're a zero waste facility, and we have technology that we can take food waste and turn that into compost in 5 days. So all these efforts, all these savings has resulted in about 850,000 more meals to people in need in our community. We've won a bunch of awards. My favorite one, though, is we were awarded a few years ago a LEED Gold version 4 award, and apparently we're the first food warehouse in the world to achieve that status. And so again, another example of us just doing the right thing, trying to be innovative, trying to be cutting edge. Let's talk about finances. With any nonprofit, your financial integrity is key. It is, no one's going to give to you, no one's going to have faith in you that you're doing the right thing with the money. Donors expect their money, if it's designated to a particular program, that the money goes to their area. So that financial integrity is crucial. That is your reputation. And if you're a nonprofit and some of your financial integrity is questioned, you're not going to get people to donate, because there's a lot of organizations that are worthwhile. Let's not give people any excuses not to give to us. When I came here, we had about 1 month of reserves for operating. I'm proud to tell you we have a solid 6 months of operating, which could have been very useful for us had we needed it here with the COVID-19 crisis. Luckily, our community has rallied around us, and they're helping us, and they're donating money, so we're able to not have to touch those reserves yet, but they're there should we need them. We don't know if there's going to be donor fatigue, if people stop giving. The recession we were all waiting for, is here. So, we're ready. We're ready, and we're strong, and we're prepared for that. We get an annual audit like all good nonprofits do. I love it that our auditing firm, every year when they do our audit and they present it to the board, they say the San Diego Food Bank is the gold standard that other nonprofits should aspire to. And then I asked the auditor, can I quote you on that? And I think for the last 4 years, they said, yes, Jim, you can quote us that you guys are the gold standard for nonprofits. For business people, for smart donors, this is what they want to see. This is what they want to hear. And I'm very proud to tell you that we have 93 cents of every dollar going directly to program services. And any of you who know nonprofits, 80% tends to be that gold standard. We've been between 92 and 94% since I've been here. So we're trusted by donors, foundations, corporations, government. I will tell you that talking about development, we've raised a lot of money over this last 8 weeks, and more than half of it has been reactive. All the relationships, all the people we know, all the tried and true people who've invested in us for years. Before we could ask them for money, they came to me, Jim, what can we do to help? It's been overwhelming, and the response. And I knew this before COVID. I've been saying this to the staff for the last year or two. We are successful in fundraising. When I came to the food bank, we were raising about $5 million a year, and last year we had $12 million a year. And sure, we may have a strong development program, but the key to fundraising is build something that people want to give to. If you build excellence, if you build efficiency, if you're really good at what you do, the donors will come. So you got to build something that people want to give to. You can kind of BS people into giving you maybe one check, but you want those long-term donors, long-term relationships that you can depend on. And boy, did that show up during the COVID-19. I mean, people were supporting us, and it's been, again, overwhelming. We operate the food bank like a business. I was taught that in my first nonprofit job. I'm kind of surprised when I see other nonprofits that don't run their nonprofit like a business. What you're doing is so important. Why wouldn't you do that? So again, our donors, our stakeholders, they're our community, and this doesn't happen overnight. This is something that takes years and years to develop that level of trust and support that. You can't just do a PSA on TV and expect people to start giving you money. It's really about relationships. Everything in the world is really about relationships. Community outreach, media, advocacy. Obviously, we have tremendous relationships with the media. They're coming to us saying, what can we do to help you? They really were instrumental in helping us get the word out. And that was a big part of our success because we could get the word out, we could calm fears, we could tell people, you can help by volunteering, you can help by donating. And so the media, tremendous supporter, great relationship with government officials. We advocate here locally, Sacramento, Washington, D.C. I can text members of Congress, or state assembly or senators if I have a challenge or a need or what have you. So we have that kind of relationship. And I've been doing this in San Diego County for 36 years. So if you're old enough, you've met a lot of people along the way. Dr. Nadiri said, before I closed up, that maybe I might have some tips, some things that are important to me that I can share with people who are aspiring career professionals, maybe a career in a nonprofit or what have you. As I mentioned, my staff teases me. They tease me for gymisms, and they tease me because I'm obsessed with peanut butter. I want everybody to donate peanut butter to us. Higher protein, kids like it, and too expensive for us to buy. So peanut butter and gymisms. Anyway, and this is even some of the same advice I give my kids. Own your own space. If you're not happy with where you are or what you're doing, don't look at somebody else or don't blame somebody else. Own your space. Find something that's relevant for you, something that makes you happy. And really, in a career, do something that you're passionate about. You don't want to show up every day at a job that really doesn't fulfill you. Money has got to be secondary. You got to have a career and a job that you look forward to going to every day. So really, do something you're passionate about. And probably most importantly, it's all about legacy. For all of us, our life's journey, it pretty much ends the same way. So you really, what have you done during your journey to make the world a better place? And people should think, what is your legacy going to be? And I know this day right now, and what my organization is doing, what we're doing is a part of that legacy. But 36 years of nonprofit, the lives I've saved, the lives I've improved, the people I've helped, that's what's important to me. And I probably could be living in a fancier house. That's not that important. What's important is being relevant and having a strong legacy. So here's what I know. The San Diego Food Bank was poised for greatness. We are the right group of people working at the right place at the right time. And it was no accident. We built this because it was the right way of doing things. None of us could have known what we were doing, but actually what we were doing is we were building a ship to weather the storm. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Jim. Really inspiring to hear what you said in terms of organizational culture, and also the suggestions actually you provided for younger generation, like owning your own space and also find something that is meaningful to you and try to contribute through those tools and way of doing things. Actually appreciate it. Now I think we have a few minutes to just ask a couple of questions, so I want to ask our participants. I see the first question. Hello, Mr. James. My name is Mohammad Rahimi, a PhD student in leadership program. What is your leadership style, and what leadership style is the most effective style for nonprofit organization like yours? So,
and I think I touched upon that. My leadership style. I'm engaging. I know everybody in my organization. These are people who have dedicated their life to a bigger cause, doing something bigger than themselves. And so they need to know they're special. They need to know that the CEO thinks they're special. So I give a lot, but I expect a lot, and I engage my employees. It's all about relationships. I don't know if that answered the question, but it sounded pretty good.
I think so, yes. Well, leadership is all about how you can empower and also how you can relate to the people around you. It's coming to that people side of things, as well as also knowing about business operations and also how you can run a successful business as well. So we want to open to the next question. Let's see if, okay. Anybody with the second question?
I wanted to build on some of the things that we heard from the presentation. I thought it was everything that you brought to us today was excellent. I mean, just if there are people who can follow every aspect of what you highlighted, wonderful. People, passion. So many times I am asked by students, but also by professionals, whether there is a different kind of person who is successful in nonprofit versus successful in a profit organization. And I agree with you. You said they are special people, but I wanted to define that more for our group and for students. What do you think? What's your perspective?
Well, it's funny. That's a great question, and that's something I probably forgot to put in my presentation. As a career nonprofit guy, it's always frustrated me that in the old days, people used to say, well, people who can't cut it in a for-profit go to the nonprofit. And I'm going to tell you, it's just the opposite. I'm mentoring a half dozen nonprofit CEOs right now, and people who come from the corporate sector, they have a different culture and maybe not have as much of an edge. And when you work for a nonprofit, I mean, it takes courage to work for a nonprofit. I carry this burden every day that if I'm not successful, people suffer, people aren't helped, and you carry that burden that provides a lot of stress, that you're worried that if you aren't successful, people suffer. But you flip it to the other side, and if you are successful, there's nothing better in the world. That's the juice, because that's why we do this. And so people in the private sector, I don't know that they have that. They don't have employees that are engaged. And I'm in a CEO group that's 11 for-profit CEOs, and they adopt one nonprofit CEO. That's me. And some of the CEOs were talking about they're having a hard time getting their employees engaged. And they did a poll: what percentage of your employees do you think are engaged in your company? And they were all 20, 30%. I'm like, oh, about 95%. And they looked at me like, that's not possible. I'm like, no, it's nonprofit. They're here because they're supposed to be engaged. It's different. They're better. You do more with less. You have to raise every dollar that you're going to spend. You're operating without a net. And I have elected officials that I work with that are now working for nonprofit. And people, this is hard work. Yeah, it is. It's supposed to be. That's what makes it so special.
Yeah. And if I may just add one sentence to that, I totally agree with that. It's hard work, and it's very professional management work, because if you don't do it right, you are not a success. So 100%. It brings together everything in much more critical, the ingredients are much more critical to be successful.
Great question, thank you.
Right, doing the right thing actually, which you highlighted also in your talk a lot. I think since we are running out of time, I want to just say the last question, just read one of the question, and then we will have a couple announcements. So Jim, Becky is asking, do you think is next for the food bank? So what's the next for food bank? So you are doing a fantastic job. The expectation is high actually from you and your team. So what's next?
You know, I'm kind of obsessed with root causes of poverty. One of my frustrations when I came to the hunger community, groups I was involved in would say, our goal is to end hunger, and their way of ending hunger was being more efficient in feeding people, you know, building a better mousetrap. I'm like, that's not ending hunger, that's just creating a better Band-Aid. You know, if you really want to end hunger, you need to get to the root causes of poverty and why are people hungry in the first place. I don't know what that answer is. I don't know if poverty could have been cured years ago, probably someone would have done it, but that's what I want. And everything we do even now is about breaking the cycle of poverty, lifting people out of poverty so they can become independent. But I really want to get deeper into that. And it's complicated, it's education, it's housing, it's nutrition, poor nutrition leads to poor academic outcomes and diabetes and obesity and all these other challenges. One of the things that's pretty cool about what we're going to do up in North County is our facility up there is going to be different from Miramar. It's going to be wraparound services. So really food is the convener, but I want to have other nonprofit agencies with the same service population with different services. And so now people can come and maybe there's daycare and a health clinic and financial literacy and mental health or what have you, and really free people up to come there, get what they need, so they don't have to run all over town all the time trying to get what they need. And then it frees them up to go to school or go to work or what have you. So that's going to be our model for the North County Food Bank, a new facility. We're going to do a capital campaign. And then, if that works out as well as we think it is, then this facility, which we've kind of outgrown, we'll probably move a little more south and do the same thing, but just on a much larger scale. So I think that excites me. I think, I would love to see San Diego County be the first county to really alleviate poverty. Probably not possible, but we're going to try.
Yeah, and we would be, that's one of the reasons also, as educational system, we would see great synergy of partnering with wonderful organizations like you guys and see how we could actually come together and see to eradicate this cycle of poverty by education, by different levels as well. So we look forward actually for our further collaboration, see how we could empower a community in different level. Well, Jim, thank you so much. And I want to salute to you and your team for the hard work that you are doing actually to help our community, because I saw on San Diego Business Journal, you and San Diego Food Bank were featured on that because of the amazing community service you are offering. And also you basically mentioned also like during this 9 weeks, you only had 3 days off. And I have been in contact with you and I have seen your work ethic and also being in
here's an amazing motivating factor.
Yes, and I have been in contact with your team members also. I want to say they are really caring, professional, friendly. It's just like I salute to you and your team. So thank you for sharing your wisdom with our community. And I just for the last couple minutes also, if you have any final notes, please. And also I want to have a couple of announcements. So we wrap up this session together.
Thanks very much.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you so much.
So for the final note, I just wanted to, I have a couple of announcements I wanted to highlight. Let's, all right, so for the final notes, I just wanted to appreciate each and every one of you who joined today, and thank you for sharing this space with us and having this wonderful learning moments and also learning from an amazing organization and also an amazing leader that they are doing fantastic job for our community. So just to wrap up is that on May 27th we have CSML virtual open house. So please mark your calendar at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you want to know about our programs more, please feel free to join this session, this webinar. We also have another exciting announcement also. So I want you to mark your calendar for June 10th, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Really honored and excited to announce that Commissioner Rafael Castellanos from Port of San Diego actually accepted to join us and share his wisdom with us through our CSML virtual speaker series. Commissioner Castellanos was sworn into the Board of Port Commissioners to represent the city of San Diego in 2013. Of course, he will join us on June 10th. So please mark your calendar. We will update you with the registration link and more information. And thank you for joining us. I have added my contact information here, email, phone number. If you are interested about partnership opportunities or interested about our programs, please feel free to reach out to me directly, and I would be more than happy to provide additional information for each and every one of you. So thanks again, and I wish you a wonderful day, and I really appreciate Jim Flores as well as also his team at San Diego Food Bank to join us, and also our CSML faculty and dean, as well as Jana and my colleagues who joined today. Thank you everyone, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.